Ash Ambirge.
Ash Ambirge.
Ash.
Ash.
You gotta open your mouth to say it.
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
lady.
Hey.
It's you. I never even knew it.
Ash Ambirge.
That's her.
Hello.
Ba-dum-bum.
My name is Inigo Montoya. And you killed my father.
Sorry about that. Apologize.
Oops.
I guess I'll prepare to die now.
Hope that's an outtake. Intake, outtake, put the
Intake.
outtake in the
Put
video.
it in, take it out, and do it all over again. That's how the sausage gets
That's
made.
what he said. Yeah, I've
What he
heard.
said, that's what she said, that's what we all said.
Right, we're saying
There we
it.
go. Hey, y'all. Guess who we have with us here today? It's none other than Ash Ambirge.
Ooh, yes! I like just like start off strong. Motherfucker.
That is her. That is she. She's in the house
Hello.
on Talk. Thanks for joining me, Ash.
Hello.
Since
Thank
you're
you for-
about to launch your book in like 4 seconds, right?
It's like 5.5.
Yeah.
But it's here. The moment has arrived.
The Middle Finger Project. Look at this beaut.
Yes. Can you believe I have a
sitting
pink
here.
book? I'm not a pink person. This is like how I dress every day. It's white, black, gray. And then they were like, let's do a pink book. And I was like, oh my God. And then it's like, okay, I like it. I really
You
I
yes
like it, yeah.
anded that.
Yeah.
Because I hear you're into improv. Is that true?
You're teaching me. I'm learning from the master.
So, Ash, we're here on the eve of your big book launch. This book is years in the making. 11 years, right? Because you're in business 11 years?
Well, that makes me sound like a gigantic waste life. Like 11 years working on this book. Like 5 years.
5 years you've been working on this book?
I mean, 11 years I've been working on myself, which I guess we could put that in, like roll that in.
5 years working on this beautiful masterpiece.
Like I'm a lot older now than when I started it.
But you know what? This book doesn't look a day over 15.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
I wonder if my book knows, like, bitch, you're getting old.
I
Hurry up!
wonder If my book knows. You think your book is like watching you at night? Like being like, Ash, hurry it up. Clock is ticking.
I believe in my book more than I do ghosts. So yes.
So I've already told you this, but you know, I love this book. I've read this book. I've been on the Ash train for the last 11 years, you know, full steam ahead, toot toot to middle finger land, right? And I feel like what you've done with this book is you have captured this huge cultural shift that has happened as the internet has become like the center of commerce. All of these people are being able to essentially hire themselves, choose themselves, and create their dream, not just their dream job, but their dream life by giving the middle finger project to the status quo, to what we should do, to Aunt Sally, who's, you know, asking us, when are we going to settle down and get 2.5 kids in a house with a picket fence and a crock pot?
Yes, the crock pot full of ham. That's the one. Yes, yes.
So I feel like I'm going to give this book to my daughter one day, who's 2 years old now, almost 2 years old. And I'm going to say, read this and you're going to be able to understand me and like my generation so much better. So I want to thank you for writing this.
It's the highest compliment any writer could ever ask for, to go into a book and yes, be telling your own stories, but more importantly, be telling the story of a greater generation, the story of us, the story of work and what it means today, what it looks like today. It's a completely different conversation than you were having 20 years ago, that you were having when we were born, certainly. It was really important to me as someone who did grow up in a trailer park in a rural small town in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, when I discovered that there were ways to help yourself that weren't being taught by anyone else. And that was the thing for me. I was searching desperately to understand what it was to do work that you were proud of. I never really saw that modeled as a child. And so I became really fascinated with this topic. And I went down every single traditional path you could have ever gone down. I started the middle class projects effectively in the beginning. And I really tried every avenue that was possible. And every single time I would get to this dead end and it would feel just so empty and shallow, even when I was doing the right things, even when I made my first $30,000 and then $42,000. And then I was making $48,000 and I could go to Target and I could buy whatever I wanted and put that in my shopping cart.
Yes.
And then what? And that's where a lot of the women especially are at right now. they've gotten to this point where maybe they have a perfectly fine career.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a teacher, like my actual assistant is. She was a former teacher, and every single day people were telling her, you'd be crazy to give that up. You have summers off, you get out at 3 o'clock, you have fantastic benefits. You should be grateful. Simmer down. And being grateful for what you've got is some of the nation's worst advice.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I want to back up a little bit because you mentioned that like before the Middle Finger Project, you were essentially on the Middle Class Project, and you were following every rule that had been laid out for you, right? You talk about this in the book.
Yes. I mean, I wanted lemon pepper chicken and poppy seed bagels more than anything else in life. Those things were so representative to me of normalcy and a middle class lifestyle. A staircase, like a carpeted staircase.
In your house.
2-car garage.
Yeah, right.
Yes. I really wanted those things because I didn't want any of my pain to prejudice me in any way. I didn't want anyone to look at me differently. So I was on a mission to fit in as much as I possibly humanly could. I studied everyone around me. I came to the city of Philadelphia. I started acting like an anthropologist, looking around and saying, okay, so that's how they wear their hair. This is how they walk. This is how they talk. They order $15 martinis. I don't even know what a martini is. Vodka or gin. I don't know the answer. Like trying to figure this out. And so I was very successful at the Middle Class Project. I killed it at the Middle Class Project. Eventually, I built a house with a man. We had not 2 stories, but 3. We had a finished basement.
Carpeted stairs.
Carpeted staircase all throughout. We even had like, the theater in the basement thing going on.
Oh, whoa.
I mean, it was like cheap black leather, but it was our first attempt when we were in our, early mid-20s. And I had all of those things, and I realized I had built myself a prison. It was an inadvertent thing that I didn't see coming. I really thought that once I got there, and then once I got there, and then once I, made a couple extra $1,000 a year, things would fall into place. And still there I was, feeling very disappointed with the state of my life and not knowing what to do next about it. Where do you go when you've got everything that you've always wanted?
But there's this like gnawing feeling inside that's like, wait a minute, is that all there is? This is it?
That's the feeling we all have. And if you're sitting there watching this and you're saying no, I know you felt that feeling. Is this all there is? Like, I'm going to just sit here and listen to this douchebag give me orders for the next 40 years of my life, sitting in this dimly lit office. Yeah. Like, is this what we're doing?
I got my lemon chicken or whatever.
Lemon pepper chicken.
I got my lemon pepper chicken. It's fine. Wait a minute. I thought this was going to feel different.
I mean, It was delicious, but once I realized it was just a seasoning you sprinkled on top, all the mystery
So Middle Class Project, you did it, you nailed it, you killed it. And then you were like, oh, crap. I did this and it's not, I don't feel happy. I don't feel fulfilled. You have this gnawing feeling that there's got to be something more. So how did you hop, skip, and jump over to a big pink middle finger in your living room, right?
Oh my gosh, why are we not just like doing this the whole time? This needs to be my new move. I've now trademarked the emoji. Yes, so I actually I did what everyone does when they first become disillusioned with their corporate careers. And I enrolled in grad school.
Yes.
I enrolled in grad school and I took out an $80,000 student loan, something I didn't have before because I went to college on a scholarship paid for by the founder of Monster.com, who came to my small town. He grew up in a rural town in Pennsylvania. He found the poorest county and was like, okay, who's the kid who has economic need and also entrepreneurial spirit? I ended up being that kid. So then later I was like, well, I didn't have any student loans to begin with. Let me get a few.
Let me get $80,000 worth. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it because you're so desperate to figure out something else that will make you come alive. And I did that. And that degree I was pursuing was in linguistics. And in linguistics, one of the things we talk about naturally is the ways that humans have evolved and developed to communicate with one another, right? And so I couldn't help but think that if humans had developed hundreds of different ways to talk to one another in the form of different languages, maybe they had also developed hundreds of different ways on what it meant to be happy. And so me and myself decided to search out these subcultures here in Philadelphia. I couldn't travel. I didn't have any money. I was trying to figure it all out. So I started taking salsa classes and I started doing exchanges with different people from different countries, language exchanges, cultural exchanges. I started going to all sorts of restaurants and really on this attempt to continue my anthropology experiment and keep looking at people, which led me to meeting a very dark and mysterious young man. He was very handsome, made $10 an hour delivering like restaurant supplies, and was very content with that. He didn't drink alcohol. He didn't care about the Joneses. He wasn't ordering these $15 martinis. And I found it really refreshing. And at the time, I thought I was being very woke because I was like, listen, girls, like, you can have your man with the golf swing. I'm going for this unconventional thing. I'm really on this mission. Yeah. So that was great. And it was interesting to me. I studied him and I wanted to know more about why he was so content with less. And I thought maybe that was the answer. Maybe the answer is to lower my expectations of myself. And then one day I walked in and I discovered that he had 20 different IDs in his drawer, all with the same photograph and all different names. I had to decide that night, with $26 in my bank account, no remaining credit. I had now quit my job, determined to become a freelance writer because I thought that was the thing that I was going to do. I didn't care about money anymore. Very bad mistake. Right?
And you were lowering your expectations.
I was lowering my expectations. $26, nowhere else to go. My parents had long since died. The trailer park was gone. What do? I had a quarter tank of gas and no money to my name. So I decided that night that what integrity looked like would be actually me going and sleeping in my car in a Kmart parking lot instead of staying with that man that night. That was the decision that was absolutely the beginning of this journey that I'm on now. And that was the day I started the Middle Finger Project.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So $26, you're in your car. Fast forward to today, you've got this incredible writing company and you've written this book. How did you go from $26 in your car to today? How did you turn all of that into money? How did you make money out of it?
Yes.
This is what I'm saying.
Yes. So listen, so when you're in a position like I was that day, where you have to sink or swim. The really cool thing I've discovered is that you actually will swim. And this is the beauty for me of loss, of rock bottom, of being in a total shithole. It is the best thing that will ever happen to you. It won't feel like it right now. It will be later. So when I'm in a Kmart parking lot, in my car, trying to figure out what I do, because even if I wanted to go get a regular job in that moment, think about that. You'd have to go apply, wait to go on an interview, do all of these things, maybe then wait, what is it? Your first pay period, you have to wait not just 2 weeks, but then the next 2. It's not feasible. So what do you do when you're in that moment of rock bottom? How do you save yourself? So I was sitting there, believe it or not, the radio DJ came on the radio. And I know this sounds bizarre, but what this guy said next would absolutely change my life forever. He said, the new Rihanna CD is now available for pre-order. And those words, believe it or not, were the words that all of a sudden in my brain said, oh my gosh, 2 things. Number 1, art is worth paying for. Music, right? Wow, art, that's art. And number 2, that art doesn't need to be finished yet in order to exchange it for future value. I suddenly understood that I might not have had anything physical to sell. Like most people might sell some family jewels, a bond. I might have sold my car, but my car was upside down on its loan. So if I wanted to sell it, the man told me at the dealership I had to pay him $2,000 to get rid of my own car. So that wasn't an option. I didn't have anything physical to sell. But what I did have were my ideas. And as long as you have an idea, you can save yourself. This was the thing. This was the moment for me that was like, oh my gosh, okay. And that's exactly what books are, aren't they? They are people's ideas packaged to sell. And I had been blogging for a year, talking through just a lot of the things I was thinking about and sharing these conversations with different members of the community, people that actually got me, I found online because I wasn't finding them in my actual real life, right?
Right.
And so I realized that maybe those people, since they had been buying my writing in the form of their attention for a year, maybe they would also like to purchase it a different way. And so what I did next, in the next 24 hours, was I simply made an offer to the world. I took a skill that I had and I decided to offer it up to the internet, to the world, and say, hey, I'll write for you if you want. How can I be of service? And this is sounding so basic, but so many of us are waiting to have all the dots connected, have the website perfect, have everything ready before you even dare make an offer to the world.
Yes.
I had none of that. I didn't have the luxury of that. So that's the best thing that ever happens. You don't have the luxury. You don't have the time to be a perfectionist about it. You just roll. That's what I did that night. And within 24 hours, I made my first $2,000 and I never looked back.
Damn! I love that story. That's incredible. And I love what you say about like when the urgency is on you, when the pressure is on you, you don't have the luxury to like overplan and overthink it and
analyze.
Overanalyze.
The things we do to ourselves to torture ourselves that are really not in our best interest. Yeah.
And you talk about that in your book. You talk about the idea is the big thing here. But then the next piece of this is you got to go actually then do that idea. Just go do it. And that's because you were in this tight situation, you had no choice but to do.
Yeah, I actually think the planners are at a severe disadvantage when it comes to things like taking a chance on yourself, because the planner people want to have the plan. They want everything to fall into place perfectly as they've planned it. Whereas someone like me, who's a little bit more of an ideas person, I'm a little bit messy, I'm creative, I'm disorganized. We just get started without the plan. And that can be your greatest advantage. If you're a messy person like me, it's great actually, because you have started something and that's the only thing you need to do, while the planner is still planning, 2 years later.
Exactly.
You start. It doesn't matter where you begin. It really doesn't.
But you're writing this book to people who are kind of like frogs in boiling water, right? It's like getting a little hotter for them, but they're just kind of like, they're fine. Their lives are fine. They're not in a Kmart parking lot. They're teachers, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
They're working an okay job.
Yes.
They get okay money. Their life's fine on paper. Everything's great. Right? So they're not in the Kmart parking lot, but they've got that gnawing feeling like you did of like, is this all there is? Life is okay, but I know there's got to be more. What do you say to this person? Right? Like Kim, in Delaware, who's got a really tight, a solid job teaching 5th grade, and everything's fine, but she's feeling a little bit like, is this what life is all about? So she doesn't have the benefit of being in a Kmart parking lot with $26.
Yeah, yet.
Right? So like, how does she middle finger project her life?
First of all, if you are feeling that way, you have to have the guts to trust that feeling. I call it the anarchy within, which is really actually just your creative impulse inside of you.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it is. Some of the research that I did for this book was discussing the difference between happiness and meaningfulness. Happiness, all about getting what you want. Great. Meaningfulness, all about getting what you want while also expressing and defining yourself while you do it. So for me, that was the missing piece. It's not about the money. It's not about Target. It's not about the lemon poppy seed chicken. It was really about that creative expression. So I think that that's what people are really missing. So if you're feeling that way, you got to trust that, because let me tell you, if you're listening to your sister Sarah and your Aunt Lucy and everyone else who's telling you like, cool your jets, you have a perfectly good job, don't do anything rash, don't be crazy, welcome to the real world, this is what work is, this is what work feels like, it's not a parade. You have to have the courage to realize that unless they've done what you want to do, they're not actually qualified to offer their advice on it. So, right, like you wouldn't go to your car mechanic for highlights, and you definitely shouldn't ask your sister Sarah, who's an accountant, what she thinks about your budding photography business. I know you love them. They're not the right audience, and they can't give you the right advice that's going to make sense for your life.
So it's trusting that little voice that's like within you saying something's not right, even though the voices all around you might be saying, your life is great, you got it all, don't do anything rash, like this is what life is. Life sucks. Welcome to the real world. Right? So you got to trust the little voice inside of you that says, I think there is more to me and to the world and to my experience of it than good enough, which is what the Middle Class Project led you to.
Yes. Yes.
You got your lemon chicken, you got your poppy seeds. It was fine. And that's all it was ever going to be.
I think if you're feeling this way, you have to go with it. Like that's how you feel. If you're too hot in a room, you're not going to be like, oh, but I shouldn't be too hot. That's really weird. Like something's wrong with me. I'm too hot. In fact, actually the thermostat is up. Like, right? It's the thing. So change your environment. Do something different. Look, I mean, seriously, challenge yourself 2 times a week. Do something completely crazy. Out of your element, something new. You have to figure out what actually lights you up inside. And you cannot do that by thinking.
Right.
Can't.
So you just have to do. That was the big piece of this that I think is so important. And I think sounds like it's the missing piece for Kim in Delaware, who's got a fine job and feels it's okay, but she's wanting something more. She's got to freaking do something. You got to take a step. Whether you're forced into it because you have $26 and you're in the Kmart parking lot, or your little voice inside of you is finally pushing you to that brink where you're like, you know what? Something's got to give.
Yes.
I got to make a move here.
It can be helpful to stop putting the pressure on yourself to know what's going to happen next and to actually even care.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just actually have to close your eyes and take steps forward and not worry about what's going to happen next. Like, that's really the thing. But honestly, you have to just forget about what's going to happen. If it's going to be good, if it's going to be bad, if you're going to be great, if you're not, stop it. Just do the steps you have to take, because that alone, if you drive 1 mile every single day, eventually you're going to get to California. Yeah. There's no denying that.
As long as you start in the continental U.S., if you're in China, I don't know. Well, I love that, because you are totally walking your talk in this way. I asked you earlier today. I was like, okay, so what's the plan, Stan? I'm like, you got this book. What doors are you hoping it's going to open for you, or what do you hope is next? And you were like, what did you say to me?
Options. A book gives me options, but it gives me intrinsic pleasure. That's all I wanted from this book. Yeah. I chased the pleasure. This was such a pleasurable experience for me to do. Was it the best business decision I could have made? Probably not. Was it the best decision I could have made for me? Absolutely. I'm really excited that this is out. I'm excited now that anyone who was where I was once now has a voice who's not going to think you're crazy and not going to roll my eyes at you. I think that's wonderful. But yes, I mean, gosh, doing things like this, having the courage to show up and create something that's going to give you options no matter what you're creating. And that's the best thing we could all hope for. Options. I love this freedom it gives you to commit to the next step and the thing that you need to do. Like you knew you needed to write this book. This was a part, like you had to do that. I was writing this book.
And to surrender to that without the need for that to then like be part of a 10-year plan where it's like, okay, and then the book goes into this and then that folds into this, and to just write the book. Ugh. And be here and let the next option open itself up once the book is written and not worry about it.
I would like the flexibility to decide, tomorrow. And I think that is the definition of personal freedom, to be able to decide how you spend your next hour. Most people are used to being corralled, managed. They're expecting to live their life that way. They're waiting for someone to take them and like put them into a little group and like be like, okay, like You have to get out of that mindset, right? Like, you cannot wait to be corralled. This is really about being able to figure out how you want to spend your life and being able to decide, at 5:00 today, what you're going to do instead of having someone else tell you what you need to be doing.
That is the Middle Finger Project.
The Middle Finger Project! So many of us do things because we think that they make sense, but you can do things that make sense that still make you miserable. So I think it's about picking and choosing your battles here. And gosh, man, like your life is just evaporating every single day. And do I want to write a book that is a book about, marketing or something? Like, I could have done that. I could have done a lot of things that would have maybe served my business better, but it didn't serve me the way that I wanted it to. So it's so important. Like, your life is happening right now. Go do something. Go do the most dangerous thing you can think of. The most dangerous.
Or the most dangerous person?
Both will lead you to the Kmart parking lot. The Mecca of personal development.
You too can be in the Kmart parking lot with $26 to your name after reading the Middle Finger Project. I love it. Dude, you got down with me here. I mean, I feel totally inspired. I've already read the book. I was inspired. And now I had this conversation with you and I'm even more inspired. And I want to thank you. And yeah, like you said, this book, for all the people who have been in the Kmart parking lot and found their own way, you've given a voice to their story. And that's amazing. And so thank you for this.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, really, like, if you've got an idea, you can do anything you want in this world. Like, ideas are such a great equalizer.
When are we going to get the Middle Finger Project for kids? I feel like this needs to be taught in like elementary school,
Can you imagine? I mean, I was thinking it would be a great college graduation present, but yes. I didn't go like deeper than that.
Let's
Should
talk
we hit the
about
third grade?
The middle finger project for kids. That's the next project. See, look, you know what? You wanted to be open to options, and I just gave you your next one.
It's like
this
the
is
pinky finger project. You know, raise your pinky. Don't be afraid.
I love it.
Thank you so much
Thank
for having
you, Ash.
me.
Where can I get this book? Everywhere?
At a major retailer near you. No, really. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Target, Apple Books, Walmart, Indie, BAM, Books A Million. If you're in the UK, you can go to the Penguin Random House website, UK, US, whatever you want. We can do it. We've got books for you. You just get on the internet, you type in the Middle Finger Project, and I guarantee you, you won't miss this mug. This will be there.
That was beautiful, impeccably done. Thank you, Ash Ambirge. Buy this book. See you later.
Yeah! Hello.
Guess who we have here with us today? It is none other than Ash Ambirge. I'm going to do it.
We're not really doing it, right?
You even
Mario
play
go way
Nintendo?
back. Yes!
You
In
did?
fact, I will kick anyone's ass at Nintendo who wants to bring it.
Well, okay. So that would be an example of an awkward segue that I will cut out later. Okay, you like that?
I really actually just wanted to keep it.
Just keep it.
Like, this is how we are, people. This is like real life.
Okay, maybe I will keep
Real
it.
life.
Maybe I'm just going to go with it. Maybe I'm just going to live my life on the edge. Regular Mario?
Like
or-
Mario, I can do Mario 1, 2, and 3 and like really like annihilate anyone in my way.
Look at her. She's really enjoying this.
I like being
Just like
hated.
touch my hair all night.
Yep. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Write a book, you get petted by beautiful people.
Did I get too serious?
You were very serious.
I didn't mean to, but
people will like it.
Yeah?
I think people will like it.
You were more woo than I anticipated.
ew, I was not. Don't ever call me that again.
She is gonna turn into a mother motivational.
I know. I